right, hello everybody. This is Tom Randall from GoldenCare. I want to welcome you to the webinar today. And before we get started, just a couple housekeeping things. So first of all, we are in presentation mode, as I mentioned, and if you just logged on, and I'll open up at the end for questions. And today's webinar is about this pivoting, and pretty excited to get into this. We're going to spend a lot more time this year in the second quarter of 18 and on trying to teach you guys some roll up the shirt sleeves type stuff in the trenches to try to help you be more successful. So we're going to make a concentrated effort of that, not just doing product training, etc. And part of that is what you see on your screen there with GoldenCare. If you're not already with us, we've got some great tools. I'm going to be doing a webinar, I think next week already, on the new updated LTCi selling tool that we have that's got some great tools in there that a lot of agents just aren't aware of. And we've got a lot of other things we can bring to the table. So I won't do a lot of time on a dog and pony show here with GoldenCare, but I wouldn't be doing my job if I didn't tell you. The one thing we can't control is to get you guys appointed. It's hard to reach out and nag you guys and to get you to the point where you send in that paperwork. But once you do that, we can open up. We've got a great staff here, a great team, and we can really help you out and do some good things for you. So that being said, I'll move on. We do have the webinar today that you'll get the slides for, and again, I don't know, basically this is just to sit back, kind of talking conceptually about it, how we're going to go out and why we should pivot and why we have to have a change of paradigm. And I am going to do my caveat and my disclaimer, and I'm a Minnesota boy, so I'll probably apologize about 40 times throughout, but I'm just coming off a respiratory infection here, so I'm coughing. You know that is when I breathe or talk, I got a cough, so I'm going to try my hardest not to cough into your ear, and I apologize in advance if I do, because I'm sure that'll happen throughout here, so sorry about that in advance. So I'm going to try to talk more calmly than I usually do, because that tends to keep me from coughing quite as much if I don't get too excited. So that being said, basically if we look at the nutshell, and I won't bore you to tears with this if you've been around in the trenches, but if you're new to long-term care, you know, you have to see the big picture. When I started out here 21 years ago at GoldenCare, and I was in insurance before that, you know, the good old days, long-term care was a sweet business back then. I'll tell you what, companies didn't know what they were doing, and they came out with products that they didn't have great underwriting for. They didn't understand lapse ratios and all that other fun stuff. So we could go out and help just about everybody we met. We sold a ton of policies, and they were very inexpensive, as you probably know, because they just weren't priced correctly back then. So we could go out and meet with people, and leads, you'd go out and send a mailer out, and you'd get 6 or 8% response in the mailers. It was a sweet time. We'd have agents calling me here at GoldenCare saying, can I please sign up to sell your product? It was that easy. So those were the good old days, and we know that some of those people were hurt, obviously, because of the pricing and all that other fun stuff. But in a nutshell, back then it was easier. You could go out and make a living doing this really easily because there just wasn't that many no-goes. You could go out and help a lot of people. 2003, things started to change. They got more data. They started realizing these policies pay claims, started getting a little better feel for it. So companies started tightening up a little bit, didn't they? Some companies started leaving the industry. There's 132 companies selling long-term care when I started in this industry. And now we've seen most people running for the hedges, right? Their companies are going, boy, I don't know about this long-term care. We better figure it out first. So what happened is it got really tight. And starting about 2003, the underwriting started to shape up, and it got a little bit more expensive, and people started kind of hedging a little bit, saying we can't get a policy with traditional long-term care. Well, obviously that expanded. Excuse me. That expanded to where we kind of are today, where now we're sitting there saying, boy, we're sitting at 50% declines. Older folks are just going to have a hard time getting policies. And most people are doing field declines, obviously, so it's not declines at the carrier level. But we know when we're going out doing consumer seminars, et cetera, that almost half the people in the crowd, we're just not going to be able to help with traditional type products. So what we want to do is we wanted to kind of help out as an agency and spread our wings a little bit. We at GoldenCare are guilty of the fact that we were true all long-term care all the time for years and years and years, and then we expanded a little bit and we spread our wings a little bit as the market changed. And it's one of the things I appreciate about our owner, Lenny Anderson. Did a good job of keeping us on top, having new products, new ideas to keep us viable. And we've done that. We're really proud of the fact we helped design the Mutual of Omaha product. It's #1 in the industry, as you probably know. And now we have peripheral products like the GTL Kemper. We're the number one product, number one marketer in the country, literally 4-1 over the next top marketer for the Kemper home care plan, because of the fact that we are in the trenches for long-term care, and we know that if we can't get people healthy enough, we need to have alternatives. We really like the GTL Critical Cash Plan that we helped design, and we have the GTL, the Guaranteed Trust Life, for those of you who don't know, the GTL Critical Cash Plan that we helped design, plus they have the home health care plan that they kind of mirrored after Kemper, but they mirrored that after Kemper, and they made it more flexible than Kemper, so that actually is a really nice plan, too, that you can sell, and I really recommend, actually, that home health care for GTL, even better than Kemper in my mind, because it has some nice things to it. And then we've got the Minnesota Life and the other hybrids like One America that are for people who are healthy enough maybe to get long-term care, but they don't want to go with traditional long-term care, so we do some of that as well. So basically, in a nutshell, we're trying to take what we see as our traditional pie piece here, where we have to walk away from a lot of sales, to go out and help more people. We want to go out and really help the majority of people that we get in front of. We know we're not going to be able to sell and help everybody, but at least we can go out there and help people that we couldn't before. So when we go out and pitch this to big agencies, we talked about the fact that, look at the alternative. One of the things we want to really stress nowadays is that you don't have to, as an agent, be a PhD. That's one of the things we're scared. We have a lot of agents out there who just aren't willing to go around that corner and take the next step because they feel like, boy, nowadays you have to be a PhD, you have to have your doctorate degree to figure out the underwriting, and all these different products are so confusing. And one of the things I want to make sure that you understand is that that's what places like GoldenCare are for. We're here to help you help more people, and we want to make sure we can make that as smooth as possible for you. One of the biggest things that people don't go help people for is that they're afraid. They're nervous. They don't want to look stupid. They don't want to go out and feel like I don't understand this product well enough. So what I'm trying to tell you to do is, we have agents like this. They don't sell a lot of products, but they're students of the game, and they understand every product inside and out. Well, that's not the answer either, because you're not helping people. What we want you to do is find a balance. Go out there, find a few products at every level, and then let us help you and give you cheat sheets. And we have all these different tools at GoldenCare to help you so you can feel successful and feel confident enough, I should say, so you can go out and present it to people and not feel like you're going to make a fool of yourself, et cetera, because that's really the biggest thing that stops people from helping people. Okay, so if you walk away from all those folks, you don't have anything. What we want to do is have you open up your brain a little bit, open up your arms, embrace some of these other alternatives, and let us help you go out and help your clients. That's what we're talking about, the paradigm shift. You can either, all those people that you can't help, you can skip the meal altogether. We can do what we've been doing for the last few years, where we kind of set the table. And you probably heard us use that tag term, where we're up in a long-term care situation. We're sitting across the table. We're kind of feeling edgy, like, boy, this person may not be as healthy as I thought, but you know what? I'm going to set the table, and I'm going to sell them long-term care, and I'm going to tell them, you know what? If I can't get you this long-term care policy, I promise you this, we have some other alternative products that we can maybe help you with. So if you get declined for this product, I'm going to come back later, and I'm going to show you some other alternatives. And you know what? That's better than nothing. It's better than skipping the meal altogether. But what happens is, a lot of times those are tough sales, aren't they? If you've ever been in that situation, when you go back out there and you say, well, we got declined because I told you how great this long-term care policy was, and now we didn't get it. Now we want to come back in. Now we want to come back in and say, well, this isn't quite as good as your long-term care plan, but it does this. And it'll help you here. It'll help you here. It's still something. They feel like they're getting the B team a little bit. And that's one of the things we saw was a flaw with setting the table and just coming back. It's better than skipping, but it's not quite as good. What we want to do for brokers and agents, and some people have been very successful with this across the country, is that they've made that total paradigm shift where they come in and they say, I'm going to go backwards. I'm going to start out talking more about health. I'm going to find out what product they're probably going to fit in, and then I'm going to be able to help as many people as possible. And I never have to make those people feel like you're not getting the deluxe Cadillac plan, you're getting something else. I can just kind of steer them into the right product right away so that they don't feel like they got overkill on, you better have this great long-term care plan even though you'll never qualify for it. that make sense? So I think we're all on the same page there. And when we talk about helping everybody, I mean literally helping almost everybody. If you look at the knockout questions for the Kemper plan, for example, that's what's on your screen. There's 3 knockouts, right? You replace something, yep, then don't send it in. Are you currently in a nursing home or assisted living or receiving home health care? Then don't send it in. Are you physically unable to do the ADLs? You know what? That's how big time this is and how we can throw that net wide. Literally, if we have people, and you'll see in the presentation I show you in a couple seconds, we have people that you can literally look at that stage and say, we can get everybody, okay? That's the Kemper plan. With the GTL home health care plan, same thing. There's one extra question on there. You can see here, cognitively impaired is added in there. So the first 2 are identical to what we saw with Kemper, okay? But they do add in cognitively impaired. So if you're really an analyst here, you can make a mental note. Kemper does not have the cognitively impaired even. So if you have somebody in very, very, very early stages of Alzheimer's, you could still get a Kemper plan in, okay? With the GTL plan, same thing, though, again, still throwing the net huge. And if they do have the Plan C, just the Plan C, which is their most robust plan that we'll talk about, and you probably understand already what that is if you've seen the GTL home health care training, then there's one extra question, but it's not a smoking gun. It just says in the next 60 days you need to have surgery or go into assisted living, et cetera, or a hospital. So really spreading the net wide. My point is, what I want to do for you as an agent is to know, don't waste any more time. Leads, you're not getting 6 or 8% anymore. Now when you get in front of somebody, you got to take full advantage of it. You got to go out and take advantage and make as many sales and help as many people as possible. Just to not only pay your bills, but more importantly, help more people. So that's why we have these other products for you. And we have all the products you need. Literally, this is one of those things. Again, I don't want to overkill you where you feel like, oh my gosh, I have to know everything. I just want to let you know, we're a full-service shop. We've got, for your healthiest prospects, we've got the great, best product in the industry, Mutual Care Custom Solution for long-term care from Mutual. We've got One America's, we've got Care Shield, we've got the products out there, Life Secure, we've got Lifestyle Solutions, we've got middle-of-the-road people. Now, these are not like straight down the line. There's different deals, so I can't draw this, obviously, to be totally accurate. But wherever they are health-wise, there's some plans that'll take a little bit more risk than your top-of-the-line mutual custom solution plans, et cetera. That's all I'm trying to get across here. We have GTL's Recover Cash. Some agents love that. We have Aetna's plan. People love that. Again, you don't have to understand each and every one of these absolutely. We do have cheat sheets that will show you the differences and all that other fun stuff and product highlights. We have all that on our website. Call us. We can help you with that. And then if you get people who aren't as healthy, we can go all the way down to our GTL Critical Cash for people that really spreads the net wide. We'll talk about that. And we have, finally, our home health care solutions we talked about a little bit already. GTL's or Kemper's Home Care, which is the most lenient out there. Okay? So there's really some different things here that you can help your healthiest prospects all the way down to your less healthy prospects. And that's the point we want to solve. We want to go out and make your time useful and have you help as many people as possible. Okay? So remember, the one thing I want to make sure we stress here before we dive in any further is that even the lighter underwriting products have some muscle to them. So let's look at GTL's Critical Cash plan, and I'm not going to go into a comprehensive product training here, so don't worry about that. If you're not familiar with this plan, you're missing the boat. I'll tell you what, this plan should sell more and more and more as people get used to it. We have certain agents who have really grasped this, and they sell a ton of this because of the fact that, do they sell it to people who are healthy enough to get long-term care? Not usually. But if they're just not quite healthy enough to get long-term care, but they still are looking for long-term care type solution, this thing rocks. It's a great plan. This is a great critical illness chassis plan that pays on diagnosis, so it pays sometimes when long-term care won't. And basically, in a nutshell, this is one of our most popular plan designs. Look at the graphic. It's got a nice, huge lifetime maximum of $432,000, so it's multiple claim potential. And if they get those major conditions like cancer, strokes, Alzheimer's diseases in there, they could pay either $1,000 a month in this example, and this is real flexible. You can do different things with the numbers, but this is just our most popular plan design. $1,000 a month, or they can get $24,000 right up front. So nice little $24,000 check to help their family and take time off work, etc. okay? Then, if they're bad enough they have to go to assisted living or a nursing home, they get additional benefits, $2,500 or $5,000. So it's a nice, strong plan, okay? And again, they're not healthy enough. Remember, this client is not healthy enough to get long-term care, so this is an alternative. We don't have to sit and beat them over the head with that, but we have to know as agents, remember, this is something they can get. They can't get the long-term care, right? So what I want to make you feel like as an agent is that you're not shorting people on this, because there's a huge crossover claims with long-term care with a plan like this. A lot of agents don't even realize this. If you look at Alzheimer's disease, stroke, and cancer, those big three represent 70% of all the dollars of claims paid out for long-term care, okay? So those are covered right there, and these are part of this policy. So you can see the big three that people are worried about and they get a lot of claims in long-term care, cancer, stroke, and Alzheimer's, 70% of that, you have coverage here. On the flip side, if you throw in heart attack, cancer, and stroke, those are 80% of the new CI claims, critical illness claims out there. Heart attack obviously is more common as well. So what I'm trying to show you is when you throw Alzheimer's in there, on top of that, 80% of new CI claims, and then you throw Alzheimer's in there, look at that huge crossover that you have with the long-term care claim. You know, it doesn't cover mobility issues and arthritis and stuff like that, but it does cover some of those other big conditions that are big, scary concerns for people. 70% of those long-term care claims. So huge crossover claims. And remember, with a plan like Critical Cash, it pays when long-term care may not, right? There's no 2 of 6 ADLs. There's no 90-day expectation. This is a diagnosis trigger. So it's going to pay for things like heart attacks and stuff that your regular long-term care wouldn't, okay? No elimination period, and remember, these are pure cash plans, so they're kind of nice. Regardless of other insurance, these policies pay, and you can have the benefits, okay? Again, I'm not pitching just the product here. I'm trying to show you. Feel comfortable when you do pivot, because I'll tell you what the alternative is, you run away. GTL's Critical Cash, this is right out of the Mutual Underwriting Guide. There's conditions on here, Social Security disability, ADL limitations, severe back pain, a lot of the mental disorders, narcotic pain meds. There's things that you'd have to run for the door with long-term care where we can offer some coverage. Severe osteo, diabetes, physical pain, rheumatoid arthritis, things that you know when you're in the trenches for long-term care, you're seeing people with these type of conditions all the time, and you have to run for the door with long-term care, where here we have some alternatives, and we can get them some coverage with a plan like Critical Cash. Okay, so that's the point I want to make. Even with things like Critical Cash, remember, has a plan A, B, or C, a comprehensive plan, or a limited plan. So even if people have some impairment, including diabetes and stuff, they can still get the cancer plan. And if people have some cancer issues, they can still get the plan that covers the stroke. So there's still some things they can do, and both those plans cover Alzheimer's as well. So all three cover Alzheimer's. So that's really what we're looking for. But basically, we have plans here that help you, and that's what I want to make sure you feel comfortable with. These are the knockout questions on GTL's talking about if you have some of those cancer issues and stuff, and I'm not going to play around with that right here, but you'll see on the slides when you get them. You can still offer some type of coverage, okay? So in a nutshell, that's the Critical Cash. If they do have some of those conditions, we still have the home health care. Remember, we talked about Kemper, 3 knockouts. We talked about GTL, 2 knockouts, plus 1 if they have the top plan. So in a nutshell, you can offer just about anything for anybody. And that's the key I want to show you today. And this slide's more for future reference. I'm not even going to spend time with it today. But just showing you, even these Kemper plans are strong. The home health care plan for basic Kempers, you can have a pretty strong little benefit for people. And remember, the way I'm going to train you is that you're not going to have to come out and talk about long-term care and all the great things long-term care does and then pivot back to this. We're going to be able to pivot directly into a plan like this so that they're not going to be quite as aware or worried about what they're missing out on. Because obviously, is this plan as good as a true long-term care from Mutual? No. But you know what? It's a lot less expensive, and it does cover somebody that wouldn't have coverage otherwise, because Mutual just won't go there, right? So again, these slides are more for future reference, just for a quick glance for you. This is the home health care from GTL, really strong. They have 3 plan designs, all the way up to $162,000 on the Plan C, $450 per day up to $120 per day home health care aid benefit. Some nice riders in there. So this is our nice little plan, and both of these are great alternatives for people. And when you put in that prescription drug reimbursement, it's just really a good opportunity for people. Flexible and affordable, and you can make this really, really inexpensive for people. So it's a lifesaver for a lot of folks. This slide's just to throw in to remind you, and to remind me to remind you, that we have a lot of agents out there. Remember that as I go through this pivoting, is that a lot of people out there can find something that's financially, we joked about the financially attractive 61-year-old female, but she's got some money. She wanted long-term care, but she's not healthy enough. Remember that a lot of people out there, if they're not healthy enough, they would have tried to get long-term care, would have been about $4,000 a year for a nice policy. But in this example with the alternative combo, again, don't worry about all the exact numbers, just showing you that you can sell a critical cash plan that we talked about, that's a pot of money concept for critical illness, and then throw one of the home health care plans like a critical care, Kemper home health care or a GTL home health care on top of that. So sell two policies. We have some brokers doing a great job with that. They still keep the premiums well below what long-term care would be, but it really fills that gap to say, hey, you got critical cash there for your major conditions, a lot of crossover with long-term care claims, and if you're worried about arthritis or falling or hurting your hip and having a hip replacement or something, we have this home health care plan that can really help you out on that side, because that'll cover you for some of those shorter-term conditions, and it's a nice little package for you, and it's still less expensive. So, again, you wouldn't be comparing premiums with your clients, but it's something that you do want to be aware of. Okay? So, in short, before I jump over to show you the start of the presentation, is basically remember you have nothing, or you can spread the net wider and help more people. So I think you guys already got the hint of where I'm going with that. So what I'm trying to do here is a two-part series, and this first one was more obviously the introduction, but I do want to show you that we're in the process of putting something together, and check my time. This won't take long, because basically I'm not going to go into the full presentation here, but we're going to have, it's based on our missing link that sold millions and millions and millions of dollars of long-term care over the years. And I'm putting this together right now. I've been working with some of the top people in the industry and trying to get a good idea, working with my team here at GoldenCare, and put together a really nice, literally plan that you can pivot really easily in the house. And I'm hoping to have this for you and have another webinar here coming up at the end of May to show you just how easy this is. But in a nutshell, it's going to go through the regular things, talking about the agent's role, understanding the industry, researching companies. We want to do the shopping for you. If you're familiar with our missing link presentation, hopefully some of you are using that, you know that this is a real nice, steady, pretty steady. One thing I've seen from all the top experts across the country, these presentations don't vary a whole lot. They're very much following the same kind of routine. And then we talk about steps of the process. What types of protection can you qualify for? Do you need this type of protection? Educate you about longevity planning. You'll notice I use that tag word a lot, longevity planning instead of long-term care, because I know I might pivot. Longevity planning is a little more broad encompassing. Okay? Design an affordable plan for you and start the process. Okay? And again, I'm not going through the sales pitch at this point. I'm just showing you the method of my madness. The first thing we want to talk about is I want you to relax. And this is now, if I'm in an internet sale or sitting across the table, I tell people, the biggest key is I find that from doing this for years and years is people get defensive. They kind of sit there thinking, you know, I was going to wait to do this till I lost a few more pounds, or I was going to wait to do this because I don't know if I'm healthy enough, and I don't really want to know what evil lurks in my medical records, and I feel like this medical condition I have is probably going to stop me anyway, so I put it off. You know, there's all these different things, and what I want to make sure you realize is that I do this for a living. I'm a specialist, so I have a product that probably is going to work for almost everybody I meet. Okay, so literally I can ask you, are you currently in a nursing home? I don't think so, because I'm talking to you in your house. Or are you receiving home health care benefits right now by any chance that I don't know about? No? Okay. Pretty sure from looking at you or talking to you so far that you probably don't need help with activities of daily living already, like bathing and dressing, etc. You know what? You're already got a product. I've got some great products already that can help you. So even if you're turning the corner and we're going to find out a bunch of health problems, don't worry. we have something that's going to be able to help you out. Does that sound fair? Okay, let's go. What I did there is took down the first area of defense, their first little thing. But then I talk a little bit further, and I say, the one thing we want to realize with this is we talk all the time about you buy this product with not your checkbook as much, even though there's a premium involved, but you buy it with your health, don't you? This is one of those things we've seen in this industry. This company, I don't know how much you know about longevity planning or long-term care planning in general, but carriers pay out a lot of claims. And they're really out there, and you probably hear in the news that they underpriced policies years ago and all that other fun stuff. But in a nutshell, the good news is these policies really pay where nobody else out there pays. So one of the things we've seen is these companies are pretty strict on who they're going to take. They want to be careful they don't make any major mistakes because it can be expensive for them as well. So the best thing to do, and what I found, so I don't waste your time, I don't waste my time, and we don't have any of these misconceptions, is if you don't mind, I'm going to ask you some major health problems right away. And let's find out where your health is at and see what kind of product's going to work best for you. Does that sound fair? All right. Now, if you look at this slide, you can see here, these are major knockouts, okay? These are the big ones. Most people you're going to sit in front of aren't going to have anything you see on the screen here. I'm not going to read them all to you as agents. And even as clients, I probably would say, you know what, I might pound out a couple of them, but I'm going to say, chances are I'm guessing you're sitting pretty good here, right? You're not going to have any of these major conditions. If they do say, oh, I've got one of these, that's what this ABC thing is down here. And I'll give you instructions how to use this. But basically what I've tried to do with this ABCD is to give you a nice way that if they don't have any of these conditions, you simply go on to the next slide, okay? If they do have some of the conditions, you can go down here and say, let's look at the worst case scenario, the health-wise. A is the best health, B, C, D. So now they've got some of these conditions. I could click D, and it wouldn't go to show these brochures, mind you. The actual presentation will go in and talk a little bit about home health care, because we know if they have those other major conditions, they can't qualify for definitely not Mutual of Omaha, definitely not CareShield, definitely not One America. You're not going to be able to qualify for all those other carriers that are probably peripheral, Recovery Cash and all those. And even in this case, these were the knockout questions from Critical Cash. So now we're down towards the lower end of the spectrum. And basically what I've done there is if they say, oh, I did have this condition, and I say, oh, really, how long have you had that? I talk through it. I don't say, oh, my gosh, you're in trouble. I talk through it, and then I casually go down and click. They probably won't even notice I'm doing it. I click down on my D, and that's going to show me the Kemper, and it's going to talk about home care, and it's going to talk about, this is one of the reasons so many people are having critical illnesses, and they're having things that they recover from, and this is why home care is important. And it'll walk them right through into a real subtle sale of a nice little short-term home health care plan. So you can help that person, and you didn't have to go into all the problems about if you get Alzheimer's and you have this for 10 years, et cetera, because you know what? That person won't qualify for it. Does that make sense? See the method of my madness there? And again, you won't show those brochures, but I'll show you when we do the next level of this, the intermediate training, it'll walk you through the actual presentation. Okay? So here you can see big knockouts. Again, probably not going to have a lot of problems here. If they are okay, then I just click down to this one, and the next one says, do you mind if I take a closer look? You're doing a great job so far. And again, I know this seems like I'm jumping in all over your health stuff, but this is really important because it's one of the things that will help us to design a great plan for you. Just want to make sure we don't have anything else hiding, any memory loss, cognitive impairments, organic brain syndromes. Again, you can see this is pretty major, right? A lot of stuff here is going to be okay. And you can see here, stroke in the last 2 years, so it's getting a little looser here. So you might end up where you still have to pivot to D, where that would be our home care, or you might pivot to Critical Cash at that point and say, you know what, we can maybe talk about Critical Cash because now that's long-term care knockouts. Those are ones that Mutual of Omaha wouldn't go for, and I'll give you instructions on this when I hand out the actual presentations later on in May. But basically what we do here is it wouldn't show the Critical Cash brochure, but if they did have some of those areas where you're thinking, you know what, long-term care is not going to be a great option here, you pivot right into Critical Cash, and you talk about crossover of claims, and you talk about look at this pool of money concept, and it pays for Alzheimer's, it pays for stroke, it pays for cancer. What a great thing for you and your family. And again, you didn't have to feel like you're sending in the B squad because you didn't get into the whole thing about long-term care yet. Does that make sense? See where I'm going with that? Pretty easy stuff. So then, if I get somebody through this and they say, no, we're doing pretty good, we don't have any issues with any of this stuff, then I go down and I do the broad one. And this is my thing saying, great job. At this point, I'm just so deep into health that we figured it was easier just to go and say, you know what, do you mind? Now we're this far in. Have you been hospitalized for anything? You guys seem pretty healthy. Okay? Find out all hospitalizations. Just write notes down. If you're doing it on the computer, you could have a worksheet that we'll have for you, or you can just write them down on your legal pad, right? Take any prescription meds. You know what? Take notes of them, because this is going to give you the opportunity to pre-screen your clients and find out if it's going to be a field underwrite. Nothing more exciting than going out there blind and sending in and getting declines when you could have found out this information ahead of time pretty easily. And people nowadays, once you educate them, saying, hope you don't mind, I just have to ask you these things. If somebody balks, if somebody's going, boy, I don't want to get this detailed yet, no problem. You just go ahead and move forward in your presentation and say, that's fine, I understand. I do want you to know that when the time comes, we have to base it on your health, on what kind of policy I can recommend for you. But we can talk more about the need right away as well. Okay? Most of the time, we haven't had a lot of people balking back on this because of the fact it's your conversational tone. You're just saying, yeah, anything big here, this, that, or that. Most people, they want to find out, too, what they can get. They want to find out if they can get the best deal, and that's the part you have to do, okay? Do you need some coverage? Next thing, suitability. We got through the health. You guys look like you're going to do pretty well there. Let's talk a little bit about your situation on the suitability side. This is required by law. Want to make sure you're not sitting out in the poorhouse and we're trying to sell you a policy. This one, I'm going to probably have a link here where you can go from this one and talk about some of these other products, maybe recovery crash, lifestyle solutions, etc. Or maybe we'll pivot over to One America or pivot over to Secure Care, depending on how we do that. So I haven't quite even worked that out yet on how I want to do that. But basically, we're going to give you the opportunity to go through here and have real subtle, easy ways for you to go through knowing A, B, C, D, and it'll be a piece of cake for you. So we're going to make it very easy for you. I'm not going to go through the rest of this now because I'm at my half-hour mark. But in a nutshell, hopefully you got a little bit of a taste for where I'm trying to go with that. And that's really the goal of this first one, is we want to give you a little bit of taste. I'm turning it back to talk mode now, and if you want to mute your phone, you can push *6, and if you want to unmute it, you can push *6. But in a nutshell, just wanted to give you a taste for what the method or madness is on this first webinar today, and then as we go through, hopefully you'll see the potential that with a presentation like this, we can take people who are either wily veterans who are just going to love it and breeze through it, or even people who are a little bit newer and be able to hopefully help them feel more comfortable knowing that I don't have to have awkward switches and awkward pivots to other products. And that's our goal that we're going to try to do for you here coming up this next month. So, all right, well, I'll tell you what, I do want to tell you this is Tom Randall from GoldenCare. I want to thank you so much for spending some time with me today. I hope you get a little taste for what we might be able to do here. And again, the next step is up to you. If you're not with GoldenCare, make sure you call us at 800-842-7799, or make sure you go to our website at goldencareagent.com and check this stuff out. And as soon as we have this other webinar for the intermediate course, where we're going to walk through and actually do the sales presentation, we will make sure that you guys especially get an invitation to that, because I think it'll be a good one. All right, well, thank you, everybody. Thank you very much for taking time, and I appreciate it. Have a great day.